This is the safety pertaining to the materials used in the experiment. Aluminum powder. If inhaled, remove victim to fresh air and keep at rest in a position comfortable for breathing. If it's in the eyes, rinse cautiously with water for several minutes. Remove contact lenses if present and easy to do so. Continue rinsing. If it's on the skin, wash with plenty of water. If swallowed, rinse mouth, call a poison center or a physician if you feel unwell. Red iron oxide or the iron 3 oxide. If inhaled, remove victim to fresh air in a position comfortable for breathing. If it's in the eyes, rinse cautiously with water for several minutes. Remove contact lenses if present and easy to do so. Continue rinsing. If eye irritation persists, get medical advice or attention. If it's on the skin, rinse cautiously with water for several minutes. If swallowed, rinse mouth. Call a poison center or physician if you feel unwell. Understand that the mixture of thermite, red iron oxide, and aluminum is highly combustible and produces extremely high temperatures, as well as molten iron as a product.
A thermite reaction is highly exothermic and thusly releases lots of energy in the medium of heat, in which it creates large sparks as well as a product of molten iron. This reaction is categorized in being a single cationic replacement, as it replaces iron in red iron oxide with aluminum, yielding aluminum oxide and iron as products. This reaction is afforded due to aluminum being higher on the activity series than iron, and thus allowing for the reaction to go forward. The unbalanced equation reads as red iron oxide and aluminum yields aluminum oxide and iron. To balance this, you must simply replace the single mole of aluminum on the reactant side with 2 moles of aluminum, and on the product side of the equation, replace iron with 2 moles of iron. To keep the reaction to where it was safe enough to reproduce, we decided the best course of action would be only to use 100 grams of aluminum. This left us with a problem of not knowing how much red iron oxide to measure out to be combined with. To know how much red iron oxide to use, we used a 3-step equation in which we started with 100 grams of aluminum and then converted it to moles of aluminum by using molar mass of aluminum. Then we use the molar ratio of red iron oxide to aluminum to review how many moles of red iron oxide we would need to use the reaction. Lastly, the equation converted the moles of red iron oxide to grams of iron oxide, yielding us with the proportion to use 296 grams of red iron oxide for the 100 grams of aluminum. To then measure out the correct amount of aluminum, we first zeroed the scale with a bowl that we were using and then proceeded to add the aluminum until we had exactly 100 grams. We followed the same procedure of tearing the scale with the bowl and this time measuring out 296 grams of red iron oxide. The bowl containing the 100 grams of aluminum, as well as the other bowl containing the 296 grams of red iron oxide, were then combined and mixed thoroughly until they were a homogeneous mixture.
Before we get into the reaction that takes place, we need to understand real-world applications for this reaction. For one, thermite is commonly used in militaristic fashions as it produces extremely high temperatures of 2,204 degrees Celsius. Because the reaction is slow burning, thermite is used sometimes against vehicles or even buildings. The better applications for thermite are in its uses in welding because it contains a product of molten iron which can fill crevices and solidify into hard metal and creating a joint between 2 pieces of metal if used properly.
Now it's time for the reaction. This reaction needs an extreme amount of activation energy, in which resulted in the need for a blowtorch to start it. Once it's lit, it quickly engulfs itself in flames, and reacting the rest of the thermite. Now sit back and enjoy the reaction. As the reaction nears its end, it can be seen the molten iron that was produced in the reaction. As of this time, it was too hot to come close to or move, so we allowed it to cool down.